Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to see everybody make it out on a Friday night. Welcome to Discovery High School. On behalf of our students, staff, and families, and the Gwinnett County Board of Education, we are glad you made it out here tonight. Please join me in welcoming our Discovery High School JROTC Titan Battalion. Presenting the colors, our team members, Cadet Sergeant First Major Roger Jarkeen, Cadet Corporal Monique Borden, Cadet Staff Sergeant Oscar Rivas, Cadet Staff Sergeant Brandon Gomez, Cadet Corporal America Hernandez. They are led by Major Kelvin Acosta, U.S. Army retired. Please stand for the pledge.
Colors, hold. Left, face. Present, arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms. Right, face. Forward, march.
You may be seated. Thank you again for being here. Tonight is an exciting and important opportunity for our community as we begin getting to know our new superintendent, Dr. Alexandra Estrella. Dr. Estrella brings to GCPS more than 30 years of experience in public education and has led a district recognized for strong academic growth, improved graduation rates, and expanded support for students. She is known for her focus on high-quality teaching and learning and her commitment to ensuring every student has the opportunity to succeed. We are proud to welcome Dr. Estrella to Gwinnett County Public Schools and look forward to the leadership she brings as we continue moving forward together. To welcome Dr. Estrella to our school, I'd like to take a moment to share a few things that make Discovery High School and our Discovery Cluster community so special. As a cluster, we are committed to cultivating well-rounded students who are fully prepared for the complexities of college, career, or military service. We maintain the highest rate of pathway completion among all traditional high schools in Gwinnett County. This achievement is exemplified by John Pittman, who was named the CTAE Student of the Year for his work in logistics, and Ms. Terry Palmer, who advanced to the final round of 3 students this year for her dedication to ROTC. Our Titan Battalion has earned numerous accolades and currently supports over 200 students, with projections for next year to reach 250 students. One of its members was recently accepted to West Point and was also honored as a presidential scholar. However, if there's anything that I would like for you to know about this cluster and school, it's the dedication to student leadership. Our student leaders are committed to making a positive impact on this school. Currently, 10% of the students at Discovery High School have some type of leadership role in the school through student council, peer leadership, student ambassadors, student advisory committees, and the Gwinnett Student Leadership Team. We are proud of our students, our staff, and the strong partnerships we have with our families and community. We look forward to the leadership of Dr. Estrella to continue leading our district forward, improving student achievement, and strengthening our community. It's my honor to introduce our Board of Education representative from District 2, Mr. Stephen Knudsen.
Well, good evening, and thank you all for being here tonight. The Gwinnett County Board of Education truly values these opportunities to connect with our students, families, staff, and community in each of our districts. This year, our area board and town hall meetings look a little bit different. As you know, our district is in an important time of transition, and we are excited to spend the majority of our time together focused on helping you get to know our new superintendent, Dr. Alexandra Estrella. As we begin with a brief introduction from Dr. Estrella, followed by a moderated conversation, and then we'll open up the questions from you. Over the past year, the board engaged in a thoughtful and comprehensive search process to identify the next leader for Gwinnett County Public Schools. Throughout the process, we prioritized listening, gathering input from our community, our staff, and our families. Last month, we unanimously approved Dr. Estrella's appointment because we are confident in her ability to lead this district forward. GCPS has a long-standing tradition of excellence in academics, athletics, fine arts, and operations. As a board, we are united in our belief that Dr. Estrella will build on that strong foundation while continuing to move us forward, ensuring every student has the opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive. And that commitment to keeping students at the center of every decision we make is what guides our work each and every day. So it is only fitting that we hear from one of our students next. At this time, I'm pleased to invite Discovery High School student Natalie Hun to welcome you and Dr. Estrella to District 2.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Natalie Hun, and I am the junior class president here at Discovery High School. I'm involved in Student Council, the Gwinnett Student Leadership Team, HOSA, National Honor Society, soccer managing, Lawrenceville Legacy Leaders, and one thing I really enjoy about Discovery are the bonds that I've formed and life lessons that I've picked up. Not only have I made connections with my peers, but I've also made connections with my teachers, the counselor, our principal, and our custodians. In the future, I hope to double major at Johns Hopkins University or Emory University. My ultimate goal is leaving a lasting impact on my community on improving access to healthcare, supporting people through all aspects of well-being, from physical injuries to mental health. It is truly an honor to be here tonight and to help welcome someone who will play an important part in our future of our schools, ensuring students like me have the opportunity and access to a successful future. Dr. Alexandra Estrella brings more than 30 years of experience in public education, including leaderships in large, diverse school systems. Before serving as a superintendent in Norwalk, Connecticut, she led Community School District 4 in East Harlem, New York, part of the New York City public school system, the largest school district in the country. In that role, she supported thousands of students, families, and staff across multiple schools, focusing on improving student achievement, strengthening instruction, and expanding all opportunities for all of the students. Please join me in welcoming a warm Gwinnett County Public Schools welcome to our next superintendent, Dr. Alexandra Estrella.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us today as I celebrate being part of this incredible community. Before I begin telling you a little bit about me, I want to first start off by saying that I am so excited to be here with you. I have no words right now to express my excitement. And I'm going to be on this side of the stage, just so you know, because I forgot my sunglasses and the light from the back, it is blinding me a little bit, so excuse my space here. But let me tell you a little bit about who I am. I am an educator, I am a leader, I am a mother, and recently, most importantly, I'm a grandma. And trust me, I've been trying to get my little grandbaby to call me grandma. It's been a challenge, but I'll get him there. Besides who I am personally, I'm also someone who is committed to innovation and ensuring that every child across all of our educational systems have what they need. I am a firm believer in equity because to me, it is critical that educational institutions ensure that every single child that we serve is able to cross the stage upon graduation, being able to obtain and achieve whatever dreams they aspire for themselves. At the same token, as a mom, and as you can see in my picture here, this is my entire family, including my parents, my brother, my siblings, and my daughter, my two boys. I have twin boys. My daughter is a bilingual special education teacher. My twin boys are still in college, sophomores, actually super sophomores. But I thought it was important to say that because as I think about my work in servicing children, I also think about who I have been as a mother of children that were bilingual, children that needed special education services, and deeply understanding the complexity of our educational system and the importance of us leaders and educators to effectively set the path forward, not only for our scholars, but also for our children. So I'm hoping that as I embark in this new journey with you, we can collectively work together to support our families and our scholars, which is our why, to understand the work that we're here to do, but most importantly, give them the resources and the opportunities necessary so that they can achieve their goals. And as I enter this journey with you, there are some things that I'm hoping to do because I don't have all the answers. And it's going to take many of the people in this room working alongside me so that I can effectively understand the needs and hopes of the community so that we can collectively together build the future of Gwinnett County Public Schools. So my goal in the next several days and months ahead is to listen, to learn, and to be able to see the things that are happening so that we can collectively design the future of Gwinnett Public Schools together. And as we do that, I'm hoping that as we construct the vision of Gwinnett County Public Schools, we keep top of mind every single child, every single school, every single family, and every educator that will help set that path forward and make sure that it becomes possible. And as I embark in this journey with you, I understand that because of the size of our district, there needs to be a differentiated approach in the way that we think about addressing the problems by creating solutions that are specific to the diverse needs of the learning community, but also looking at the different clusters and what it's going to take to effectively move the work forward. And as I do this work, I want to make sure that I keep top of mind some of the strategic priorities that we as a collective have to continue to elevate. Continuing to think about academic acceleration, making sure that we are focusing on belonging and culture, thinking about developing our students' capacity to continue to enhance their skills to be future ready. As everybody in this room knows, AI and many technological advances has put us in a predicament where we have to think in a very fast pace, in a very innovative way, how we prepare our scholars for a future that's yet to be defined and determined. And in order to do this, we need to make sure that our families and our communities work alongside us for us to do this in the most effective manner possible. And I know engaging in these change processes to ensure that Gwinnett continues to be a place of excellence is possible. I was in Norwalk Public Schools. I was in New York City, one of the largest school systems in the nation. And I've been able to shift graduation rates that were declining and place them in an upward trajectory to right now, Norwalk Public Schools graduation rate is close to 93%. I have been able to decrease chronic absenteeism, which I know is something that the Gwinnett community is concerned about. I've been able to increase mathematics and English scores across all the systems that I've worked in. And I've been able to do that because I've worked alongside educators and the community, and I understand that this work cannot happen alone, that it takes a village to do it, and I'm hoping to do that work alongside you in the same way that I was able to do it in other places. In order to do the work, I'm setting forward a 100-day strategic plan that will allow me to engage in opportunities of listening and learning, would allow me to better understand the systems and structures in place right now, to understand the things that the community values, the things that are working well, and also the areas of opportunity that we can work together to strengthen to ensure that scholars continue to thrive and achieve. And my hope, by the conclusion of my first 100 days, is that we can highlight areas of promise as well as areas for us to problem solve together, to then develop a strategic plan that will set the path of our work together for the next 5 years. Specific to District 2, I've also learned, as I started to engage in my listening and learning across the district, that the district here takes enormous pride in its diversity, that it has demonstrated rising graduation rates, given many of the efforts of many of the leaders here today, that there's very promising practices that are yielding strong performance in mathematic milestones, that there's already innovative and creative ways in which AI is being utilized in the classroom. And what I've heard is that Gwinnett is now a pioneer in this area as we think about how to effectively support students in enhancing their skills to be AI ready and prepared for the workforce that will inevitably require them to have these skills. I also learned that there is strong Spanish dual language programs. There's been strong evidence of achievement around literacy and mathematics. And at the same time, I've also learned that there are opportunities for us to work together to enhance programs. In the same token where we've seen achievement in academic areas, there are still other areas that continue to need to be looked at. By looking at the data and disaggregating the data to specifically look at different subgroups and how different subgroups are performing or not, and what are the things that we can do collectively to ensure that all of our students thrive. Looking at special education services and what we could do to strengthen those programs alongside programs for multilingual learners. Thinking about infrastructure and how are we looking at our facilities and making sure that the facilities are equipped and ready to provide the environment necessary for our students to learn well. And ensuring that all students across District 2 have access and opportunity to the resources necessary to allow them to thrive. while also addressing concerns of overcrowding that many of the community members have brought to life as areas of concern. So I want to thank you, and I'm hoping that together, as I continue to learn and understand the needs and wants of our beautiful community, that we can collectively build a plan that will set the work that we need to do together for the future of our Gwinnett County Public School students, and that we do it in a way that will ensure that every single child in our community will be able to thrive and achieve their dreams and aspirations. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Estrella. I appreciate what you've shared with us tonight, and I'm even more excited about the work ahead as we move forward together. We'll begin with a few frequently asked questions from District 2, and then we'll move into questions submitted through Slido. Use the QR code on the screen to join the conversation. If you see a question you'd like us to address, please give it a thumbs up to help us prioritize. As we move through the discussion, we'll keep our focus on the future and how we continue moving Gwinnett County Public Schools forward together with Dr. Estrella's leadership. You'll also see Interim Superintendent Dr. Taylor joining us on stage a little bit later. He's here to help address any questions related to this current school year or ongoing operations. And if we're not able to get to your question tonight, please don't worry. Just email myschoolboard@gcpsk12.org and we'll be sure to follow up. In fact, I'll make a promise that if it's in Slido, we'll find a way to follow up with you and your question. So let's get started. Natalie, what's the first question?
What about Gwinnett County Public Schools made you want to become our superintendent?
Well, I think that one of the biggest things is the pride the community takes in making sure that every single scholar here is served and well educated. I love the diversity of Gwinnett County Public Schools, the pride that the community has in the work that they do in service of children. And I had the opportunity today to walk around Discovery and speak to some members of the school community. I met Ms. Looney and some of her students, and it was so impressive to see how students spoke about our teachers and the work that teachers are doing on behalf of our scholars. And just listening to that conversation reaffirmed for me that I'm in the right place and that the decision that I made was the right decision, because that moment illustrated what many had said to me about this beautiful district and what I'm hoping to see more of as I continue to visit schools.
That's amazing. Our second question is, what is the first thing you'll do as the new superintendent?
Well, the first thing I started to do already is to listen. I'm looking forward to really engage in as many small group conversations, large group conversations with the community so that I have the opportunity to learn from the community what they're hoping to see from me as their superintendent and what they would like me alongside the board to prioritize in the years to come so that we can effectively serve our scholars.
For our third question, how do you plan to meet the specific needs of each individual cluster?
So I think that every cluster is unique and has many valuable assets that need to be elevated, while also many areas of opportunity. And I think that the work has to be differentiated by cluster, where we look at every cluster individually, look at what are the needs for those communities, and then differentiate the supports to ensure that we provide them with the services that will uplift them and uplift our scholars.
For our fourth question, what are your thoughts on the use of technology or AI inside the classroom?
Well, there's been a lot of research around the utilization of technology, and I think everything has to be put forward in moderation and in a balance, right? We know that AI is a tool that all scholars are going to need to use. I was actually in a conversation with other superintendents across the nation, and one of the statistics that was brought up was that currently 26% of employers are expecting new employees to have AI experience and are willing to hire someone without experience but with AI capacity before hiring somebody with 10 plus years of experience without AI knowledge. So what that said to me is that it is important for us to find responsible and meaningful ways in which our scholars can utilize AI and technology, but we need to make sure that we look at the latest research, particularly in the utilization of technological tools in the classroom, and make sure that we take that into account while we also take into consideration what we need to do to prepare our scholars as well.
I agree. For our next question, what do you hope to accomplish in the first 6 months?
So like I articulated in my brief presentation, within the first 100 days, my goal is to engage in many community conversations that will allow me to understand the needs of the community, and aligning that with additional research and supports that will help us build our next strategic plan, so that within the first 6 months, I'll have a good sense of what the community wants, and we will then utilize that to create our strategic plan by the end of the academic school year.
Thank you.
I noticed a couple of words that you used, Dr. Estrella. Balance, I think, is incredibly important, but I also heard you say about the specifics and the cluster by cluster uniqueness. And we have 20 clusters that are larger probably than the average school district in the state. And so to think that one size fits every school district in the state would be silly. To think that one size fits all of our clusters would also be silly. So I appreciate the uniqueness and the specifics that you bring to us, and you've already mentioned to us. Natalie, great job. Thank you for joining us. Any last words you want to say to the audience?
I just wanted to thank you, Ms. Estrella, for this opportunity, as well as a student here at Discovery, the use of AI is very common here, and I think we do need some regulations and also finding a way to not only the use of AI to help our students, but also to help them succeed, not through cheating, but through learning.
That's great. We appreciate your voice and your perspective, Natalie.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, please welcome to the stage our interim superintendent, Dr. Al Taylor. So I'm going to go a little bit off script here, and is my public opportunity to thank Dr. Taylor for the role he's played as our interim. You've been fantastic.
Oh, I appreciate
Yeah. He has demonstrated great character, great patience. He has brought about great stability within our district. He has shown a heart to serve. And in everything that he's done, he has tried to set the stage, not knowing who would be our next superintendent, but he has done everything he could to set the stage for success for our new superintendent. So it's really an honor to be here as the first board member to kind of kick off this and to have the two of you here together, because I know where your heart is, and I believe I'm beginning to know where your heart is, and I think the two together are going to set us off on a good pace and a good trajectory for our future. So that's just me as a single board member from District 2. But I also want to ask you a question.
Okay. Yeah.
Did you bring your handkerchief?
House.
Sorry, we did this last year.
It's hot up here.
He stood in front of the lights and he put that handkerchief to good use. As a reminder now,
I learned from the best.
we're focusing on the future and continuing to move GCPS forward together. Team, please pull up the first question. All right, let's see. Well, my progressives are working. Yeah. What are your plans for district roles at the county office to better support students in school buildings such as behavior support and literacy math district coaches?
You want me to say this?
You want to start?
Okay, yeah. Obviously, post-pandemic, we recognize the necessity for some additional whole student supports. And so we did invest pretty heavily in both behavior supports as well as recognition of the academic gaps that happened during the pandemic. So we have made some level of investments. Of course, the financial decisions to be able to sustain those programs when the ESSER funds went away created some challenges. So we were forced to reduce in some areas, but hopefully that you have seen in these past couple of years, there is a continued investment in increasing access to some of those additional supports. And so that's kind of our current landscape of, with the budget that we have. We as often said, we can do anything, can't do everything, and so there are some decision points and trade-offs that would have to be considered, moving forward.
Dr. Estrella, any thoughts on that, just from a general perspective?
So, and as I enter the district, one of the things that I'm hoping to do is work alongside Dr. Taylor. And Dr. Taylor, thank you for all the support thus far. We engage in weekly conversations, just building an understanding about the district and making sure that as we transition, that we do it together and do it as a team. So thank you for that. And as we look forward, I want to better understand how the systems and structures are set up across the organization so that we can make informed decisions where shifts or adjustments need to be made in the future as we can start building our data set that will inform our strategic planning within the next few months.
Dr. Taylor, I've got a little bit of a follow-up to that. Now, don't get nervous. I mean, I try to stump him as much as I can. But a lot of people think of the district office as kind of being too large and somewhat bloated. We hear that a lot. But a lot of the people that we house at the district office are actually school resources. Do you have I don't know, this is the stumping part. Do you have a percentage, if you were to think about the number of positions or the number of hours or the resources that look like they're housed in the ISC that actually are day in and day out going to different schools to support the work that's being done there?
I would probably have to guesstimate. In general, for the past couple of years, about 90% of the positions that we have are actually school-facing positions. So if we are, so that leaves around between, 88 to 90%, 10 to 12% are district office. Of that, I would say easily, we would probably be maybe 4 to 5% are positions that are technically housed at the district office from a funding perspective, but they actually spend boots on the ground time in the schools. And so we just talked about those positions actually in the last slide. If you're thinking about the behavior coaches, those are housed and operated through the central office, but their work is not central office work. It's actually school support work. So,
thank you. How do you plan to address compensation and ensure that employees in the school district receive a livable wage?
Okay. Compensation has always been one of the top 3 priorities when we ask the community or we ask stakeholders from a budget perspective. So that's been reflected in the last few budgets for certain. This upcoming budget, again, tries to address to the extent possible, constantly trying to increase compensation. Obviously, livable wage is kind of floor level expectations. It's a challenge in the metro area, particularly given our size and scope, how rapidly we're able to progress. We generally tend to fall somewhere in the middle of the pack once everyone has published, which is also a challenge. There is a pretty strong network of the superintendents in the metro area. We don't always share everything. One of the great tools that you keep kind of close to your vest from a recruitment strategy is how much raise you're going to give. And so when we make our projections in terms of what we think might be an increase in salaries to keep us competitive, there's often the district that's waiting for us to say what we're doing so they can go back and recalibrate and then offer something more. So we make what I think to be pretty significant investments in our compensation packages, and we've always prioritized trying to take care of our staff, but there are some challenges in the metro area in particular to be able to sustain that long term.
Any thoughts? There don't have to be, but just give you a chance. Okay. I will say, as a board member and being able to be a part of these discussions and hearing about it, there's a couple of things that in my 8 years, I'm now in my 8th year on the board, we have increased the starting salary in Gwinnett County over 20%. Now, the governor's had a lot to do with that, but we've also kept pace. Every time he gives an adjustment to the salary, we have to actually pick up additional expenses that go. There's a percentage above and beyond the salary, and so we have done that every time. I know when I first was elected, there were times where people talked about how some school districts would actually not pass on the full amount because of those additional costs associated with it. So we do that, and we've always been committed to doing that. The other thing is that we just finished an XFAT, which XFAT is not a diet that we're going on, but it means it's a cross-department, right? Action committee,
Yep.
Quash Division, action committee to actually look at our salaries, our structures. One of the things that they uncovered that we just included in our budget and approved is we realized that our APs, our assistant principals, were lagging behind surrounding districts. So we did some work there to help them out because we want our best in the state homegrown leadership development that we do to stay with us and to be there to help us as we have positions at principal to fill. So over the past year, I've heard multiple references to deficiencies within GCPS currently impacting students. What do you believe is lacking that you can directly impact, and can you explain how you'd execute that change and measure success?
Do you want to start with what you're doing?
Yeah, well, I think there's the areas that come to mind specifically that have presented some challenges for us that I do think Dr. Estrella has, in her record, had some very clear wins were things that she listed. One, when we're thinking about our ML students and their consistent underperformance as compared to some of their peers, language acquisition, and much more rapid rate than we're able to deliver, that's definitely an area that has continuously been a challenge for us. Similarly, I think we've seen pretty consistent, even pre-pandemic, so can't just blame the gaps that happened during the pandemic, but also our special needs students have consistently lagged behind and had underperformance. So that's definitely an area. The third is one that we have feverishly tried to improve, and I think we are improving, but it's been just kind of a slow progress, and other districts have started to leapfrog us, and that's around graduation rate. That we've seen some tremendous progress in spaces, but we're still not back to where we used to be, where it was an automatic expectation that we were going to be well above the state graduation rate. And that's not a space that we've been able to revisit, even though we are experiencing some growth.
And I think as we think about the work ahead in these three areas, particularly looking at multilingual learners, it's important to first assess what are the programming structures currently in place across the organization. How are those services being provided? Do they align with the needs of what students need to achieve? Where are there opportunities to make adjustments to ensure that the programs align with what students need to excel and move from where they are to where we want them to be? And also, where are the programs and how are they structured? Are they structured in a way that effectively meet the needs of the students that we're intending to serve? And what is the organizational capacity around servicing students that are language learners? Do we need to build professional learning processes to ensure that the team has the capacity to do this work effectively? Also, looking at how are we programming to, the schools to provide these services, and is there a need to make adjustments, particularly for multilingual learners? Many of our students start adulting pretty early, so we need to think about how are we programming to meet their needs. Sometimes organizations fit kids into programs, not design programs that meet students' needs. So how is Gwinnett doing that, and what are some of the modifications that need to be made so that we can create pathways that effectively shift potential outcomes that are not yielding positive outcomes for scholars. I think around special education, similarly, what is the continuum of services that are being provided? Are they meeting the diverse needs of students? And really zooming in to the different programs and looking at the data. What is the achievement rate of students in these different models? Are we yielding better outcomes for students in the model? If not, how are we examining these models to ensure that we can figure out where there are gaps that need to be addressed so that we can create the necessary shifts so that the programs can eventually yield the outcomes that we are seeking? And lastly, when we think about graduation, we need to desegregate the data to really look at who's thriving, who is not graduating at the rate that we want them to, and why not. And when we figure out those clusters of students that might not be achieving, we need to really do a deep data dive to see why this is happening and then develop processes and systems that can shift that narrative in a positive direction. So there's a lot of research that needs to be done, and I'm hoping that through the work that we do throughout the scope of the next few months as we analyze and assess the state of our system, that we can then use that data to inform what shifts need to be made so that these different subgroups continue to, well, shift their current outcomes to more positive outcomes.
I think it's important to think about a couple of things. Also in terms of just the context that we're working in. In some recent numbers, Gwinnett County has 26% multilingual learners, 26%, which is 5% higher than the nearest neighboring district. And on top of that, there are no additional weights from state funding to help with multilingual learners. No additional weights whatsoever. We get additional weights for special education, but even in a conversation with Dr. Taylor recently, I realized, and he was sharing with me, that even what the state gives us additionally to help in the different ways that they weight special ed funding, we actually go above and beyond that in Gwinnett County. We spent over $400 million a year on special ed funding. And in fact, last year we added 70 points to our spend. That's 70 positions to be deployed across the county to help with special education. And so we're committed to it. We do more than, and in fact, the IDEA, all the stuff we have to live up to according to the federal government, when they passed that over 50 years ago, their commitment was to fund 40% of that. 40% of $400 million is $160 million. We currently get about $35 million from the federal government. So we're making up that difference, that $125 million difference, to do what we need to do for our special needs students. And we do that as a district because we want them to succeed and we want them to have every opportunity. Dr. Estrella, will you be requesting a financial audit of the county so that you know where we stand before you start?
I think it's really important to look at the financial state of our schools. How we spend speaks to what we believe in and what we value. So as I continue to engage in community conversations and this continues to elevate and the community sees it as something of value, I think is a worthy investment to really assess our finances and learn from what the audit produces in terms of where the money is going, and that will tell us what we as an organization value, and will also give us insight of what we might need to shift to better align to the strategic priorities that we'll set in the next few months.
Dr. Taylor, anything to add on that? I would remind you that Gwinnett is one of, I think, 3% of school districts in the nation that is AAA bond rated. And we have an external financial audit every single year. Now, it's a different type of audit, but from a financial perspective, the last several years, we've had absolutely no findings in that external audit. So the way we do things is pretty solid. You're going to try to uncover if there's some ways in terms of our heart that maybe we're not properly redirecting it or directing
Well, I
it.
wouldn't use the word not properly. I said maybe more effectively.
Okay.
Right?
All right. Good.
Keep it in a positive.
What specific strategies and frameworks do you plan to bring from Norwalk and New York City with the expectation that they will effectively help GCPS?
I don't like to bring frameworks from other organizations into new organizations because I don't think that's an effective way of leading the work. I need to look at what are the current frameworks in practice in Gwinnett Public Schools that are working well and build from those practices. And I will utilize my expertise and experiences from New York and Norwalk to elevate areas that might be areas of growth for the organization. But utilizing a framework from a different organization is a recipe for failure because every organization is different and the needs are different.
How do you plan on raising literacy rates?
You want to go?
You want to start?
Start and then I'll go.
Okay, yes, certainly. We have recognized that there have been gaps in our on-grade level, particularly by third grade. So we did make some investments this year that are really targeted towards trying to improve and accelerate growth in that area, particularly thinking about what K-2 looks like and ensuring that the hill that students have to climb, if they're not on grade level by third grade, that we reduce that as much as possible. And we not wait to third grade to figure that out, that we resource appropriately in K-2 so that we can reduce the number of students who are not on grade level by third grade. And then the goal, of course, that's not the end of the race, that's just the first lap. The next laps include ensuring that getting kids on getting kids on grade level by third grade is sustained throughout the rest of their continuum through high school. And so resourcing appropriately for the middle and high, and also increasing expectations and accountability for ensuring that students are on track beyond just that third grade.
So one of the things that I learned through the work that I've done in trying to shift and enhance what was happening, particularly in literacy pre-K to third grade, I learned that a lot of our educator programs do not currently support the teacher proficiency level on teaching the science of reading or teaching reading, period. So one of the things that I would love to learn about our Gwinnett staff is how much professional development has been afforded to our pre-K3 staff around teaching reading. Because I think fundamentally we need to first understand if our educators have been trained and what additional training might be necessary to support our teachers, paraeducators, and other support staff in effectively implementing literacy strategies that will ensure that students are reading by third grade. Once we can assess that, then we can look at what are the curriculum materials and tools that are being utilized across the organization. Are they encompassing all of the pillars that create a strong literacy program? And if not, what are the areas that we have to modify and address to ensure that all of those competencies are in place to build a really strong structure that will ensure that students are reading by third grade? So those will be some of the questions. Those are some of the questions that I have as I come into the work. that I need to better understand so that we can effectively, collectively work together with what has already started and what needs to continue to be done to ensure that we continue on a path of ensuring that every child is reading in 3rd grade so that they can transition from learning to read to reading to learn.
I want to give a little shout out right now because it's critical to our literacy success. But Kim Holland, our Executive Director for Early Childhood Learning, is over there. And Kim's done a fantastic job. In fact, with real growth among our kindergartners in terms of kindergarten readiness, our 4-year-olds in kindergarten readiness, with like 5 full points. And the thing that's unique about what Kim does is the district, we're not funded by the state to educate 4-year-olds or 3-year-olds or 2-year-olds. And yet Kim's put things in place with her expertise and her team's expertise and partner with the community who have funded a lot of the work. I think we bought a bus along with some staff. But we've even taken this early childhood learning to communities and to neighborhoods and created an actual full 10% increase, a real 5-point increase in kindergarten readiness. So hopefully that, with some of these other focuses that you've talked about in K2, are going to make a huge difference in the next couple of years. Yeah, I heard you mention AI in your opening comments. Is it really important and not yet part of every school's learning experience? How do we make sure everyone has access to AI readiness?
Yeah. So we have absolutely, not just in second year, but we've kind of taken this on, and I see several individuals who have led this work. And so obviously the principal of second year, Jimmy Fisher, is actually here, very instrumental in what we've been able to do. When we're thinking about kind of district-wide, I love the framework that was developed that really kind of speaks to what that integration looks like. So in different levels, right? So we have swim, snorkel, and scuba dive. Right? The concept of swimming is that every student needs to have some basic skills in that AI environment, right? And throughout K-12, we are invested in that, so you'll see that in evidence from the elementary school robotics and computer science for all the way through the various programs in our CTAE that live in the high schools. That next level, where we want most students, we want them to have a little bit of specialization, and that's what we kind of refer to the snorkeling component. So going a little bit deeper beyond just the basic skills that exist at that first level. But then we do recognize that there is a group of students that want to go extremely deep and want to become extremely proficient, earn certifications, and maybe even make this a lifelong career. That's our scuba diving. And so we want to make sure that between those 3 levels, every student K-12 has the opportunity to experience AI at some level.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what is happening already and thinking about how this work needs to continue to be fully integrated into all curricular areas, not just AI in isolation. I think one of the things that's really important as we think about the work around AI is, if we remember spell check, it was everybody thought that nobody was going to know how to spell at one point. And it's become an integral component of something we use every day in the work that we do. And AI eventually will become just that, and in many cases, it has become that in the workplace. So thinking about what are the teacher moves that need to happen in the classroom on a continuous basis to responsibly use AI as a tool to enhance teaching and learning. At the same time, what are the skills and competencies that students need to know and be able to do to be AI proficient so that when they go into the workforce, they can demonstrate that they have the adequate competencies to be able to do the work. At the same time, as a system, what are the policies and structures that we're building to ensure the safety and security necessary for our scholars and staff to utilize these tools effectively? And a lot of this, I believe, is already happening in Gwinnett because as I engage in conversations nationally around AI, I've heard Gwinnett pop up a number of times as being a cutting edge in this area, and I'm looking forward to learning more about what's happening and how we can continue to enhance what's being done so that we continue to stay top of the game.
That's fantastic. You know, another shout out, Jimmy Fisher at Second-Year and the staff that are part of the Second-Year cluster. You know, one of our theories of action for change here in Gwinnett is that we pilot a lot of things. And so, you know, people have asked, well, why doesn't everyone have access to it? Well, what we learn at Second-Year and the schools that feed it, we then are able to move to other schools in the district, and then they're able to accelerate that process. They don't have to make the mistakes. Jimmy and his team are making the mistakes. But here's something to keep in mind. I was at, not many, and no big ones. But I heard something recently, and just to understand the context, I was at an AI forum that the chamber hosted, and you know, 100 years ago, technology was doubling at the rate of like 50 every 50 years. Now, technology is doubling every 7 months. Every 7 months. Imagine trying to teach, right? If you're a teacher and you're surfing that wave trying to stay ahead of it, imagine trying to stay ahead of something that's doubling every 7 months. But the team's doing a great job, and I really appreciate what you're doing. Hopefully while you're down here, you get a chance to get over there and check out Second-Year. All right. Gwinnett has recently experienced 2 superintendents who have significantly impacted the culture. What specific changes do you plan to implement to improve leadership and boost morale in the district?
So I think I articulated earlier, the first thing that I'm going to do is to listen, to understand. I think the first stages of healing is being heard and having the opportunity to talk about experiences that have worked, experiences that have been challenges that need to be reconsidered and addressed. So my first step will be that, to listen, to learn, to utilize that information to work alongside you, to build and continue to develop processes that will enhance our organization as a whole together.
What are your views on the role of technology in classrooms? Over the next 3 years, how do you envision the district adjusting its use of technology and potentially shifting toward a more paper and pencil focused learning environment?
Do you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start with just kind of sharing the current landscape. Now, of course, we made a pretty significant investment in technology in the pandemic. We recognized very early on when students didn't have access to school and were depending on devices, we learned very quickly where there was access deserts across the district. So our ESSER funds, if you'll remember, were largely used to ensure that every student had access to a device, particularly in those moments where we weren't able to bring them into the building. We've since doubled down on that, and now we have a very robust district-wide one-to-one initiative in place. Dr. Strady and I have actually had some conversations about the research that she referenced earlier. There's clear evidence now that that balance that she talked about is incredibly important because we're seeing some pretty significant impacts, particularly for the younger ages with the screen time and what it's actually doing to the brain. Like there's little evidence of rewiring. There's neuroscience research that's coming out that there's rewiring that's happening for the brain. So figuring out what that balance looks like, because the reality is we still need them to be proficient in the use of these tools because this is what their world is going to look like. But how do we balance to ensure that we're not causing damage unintentionally by, with overuse of the devices?
You summarized our conversation well.
Nothing else?
I think Dr. Taylor summarized it well. I think for me is one, looking at the research, what is it saying? What are the things that we need to take into consideration and what are the modifications we have to make as a result of it? At the same time, as Dr. Taylor said, being cognizant that students need to learn how to utilize these tools to be able to be work ready. and making sure that as we're doing that with what the research is saying in mind, and doing it in a manner that doesn't create more damage than the things that we're hoping it will benefit.
Thank you so much. Please help me thank Dr. Taylor for being here with us. Help me thank Dr. Estrella for kicking us off with District 2. And we thank all of you for being with us tonight. We truly appreciate your time, your presence, and your continued interest in Gwinnett County Public Schools and in District 2. Thank you also to the students and staff at Discovery High School for hosting us this evening, and to the staff who helped make this evening possible for those here in person and online. And I know I wasn't able to give a shout out to all of my District 2 staff, administrators, anyone who works in the system in District 2, but know that we appreciate you. I love y'all. When I get a chance to get out and be with you and to see what y'all are doing, you're doing fantastic work. And I know that it's a lot of work, and we grossly underpay you. That's not a commitment to be able to do much more. But know that we understand that, and we're trying to do things that will help you and help your mental fitness and help you be the best that you can be. If you would like more information about upcoming area board and town hall meetings, you can find full details on our district website. You'll also see a QR code on the screen that links to additional information about the redistricting proposal that was shared at a board meeting earlier this year. This is a multi-year, multi-phase process that will impact all areas of the county, and the board is committed to keeping our community informed every step of the way. We invite you to join us in the Commons area for a meet and greet until 8 o'clock. We hope you'll stay, enjoy some light refreshments, and take the opportunity to connect with me and Dr. Estrella. And for those of you staff, again, that want to sneak right out, make sure you shake my hand before you go. Thank you again for being here and for your partnership in supporting our students and schools. This area board and town hall meeting is now adjourned. We invite you to join us for the meet and greet. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.